top US military official for West Asia has said that military plans to strike Iran have been submitted to US President Donald Trump and that US forces are ready to act if directed. Speaking before the US House Armed Services Committee, General Michael Kurilla, the head of the US Central Command, has said that he provided Donald Trump and the US Secretary of Defense with a wide set of military options regarding Iran. And it's important to note here that US presidents and defense secretaries are regularly briefed on potential military options, especially amid the heightened tensions with any country. But that does not guarantee that America will definitely act on it. Now, if the US does choose to pursue military action, what are the options? Cooperation with Israel is likely. Since the month of April, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has on multiple occasions reportedly expressed a desire for US approval and assistance in launching attacks on Iranian nuclear sites. And according to a recent Bloomberg report, a retired US Navy admiral and former NATO commander described the main element of any such operation against Iran as an outright aerial offensive involving drones, cruise missiles, and manned aircraft. Adding that before launching any direct strikes, military planners would likely begin with a cyber campaign aimed at disabling Iranian defense systems. This phase could be followed by missile and drone strikes targeting Iran's air defense systems, while special operations forces could also be deployed. Remember, last year, Israeli commandos flew by helicopter into Syria and destroyed an underground Hezbollah bunker. That operation combined airstrikes, special forces, and rapid mobilization. The former NATO commander has said that the US and Israel could use a similar tactic again, possibly involving naval ships to bring special forces close to Iranian territory. And subsequently, the US could use its long-range Tomahawk cruise missile attacks launched from naval vessels, aiming to dismantle Iran's radar networks, electric grids, communications infrastructure, and anti-aircraft batteries. At the same time, drones could be launched to neutralize Iran's air force on the ground before it could respond, a strategy similar to what Ukraine used against Russia earlier this month. And if Iran's defenses are successfully weakened, strategic bombers like the B-2 Spirit may be used to target hardened nuclear facilities. 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs could be used to destroy fortified Iranian underground structures. In March and April, satellite images and reports said that the US had started massing B-2 bombers at the strategic US military base in Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean, within operational range of Iran. However, striking Iran's nuclear facilities presents serious challenges. The facilities are widely dispersed, heavily fortified, and located deep underground. Any mission would face logistical as also geographical hurdles, not to mention the risks of escalation. And Iran remains a major regional power with an extensive military arsenal. Its ballistic missiles can reportedly hit targets more than 1,700 kilometers away. And since early this year, Iran has unveiled new missiles, naval vessels, drones, even underground missile storage complexes. Just yesterday, Iranian authorities issued a warning that any Israeli strike on its nuclear facilities would prompt a counterattack on Israel's nuclear sites. Tehran said it possesses intelligence about those Israeli locations and has made it clear that it would retaliate if provoked. And in the latest, Iran has threatened to strike US bases in the region if military conflict arises. Listen to this.
God willing, it won't come to that, and the talks will yield results. But if they don't, and conflict is imposed on us, the enemy's losses will undoubtedly be greater than ours. In that case, America will have to leave the region because all its bases are within our reach. We have access to them, and without hesitation, we will target all of them in the host countries.
In fact, Donald Trump has reportedly told Netanyahu over a phone call earlier this week that there is a chance of reaching a nuclear deal with Iran, and he therefore opposes military action at this point. So what happens next is really anyone's guess, and all eyes will be on the 6th round of the nuclear talks between the US and Iran later this week. On to the United States now. Cities across the country remain on edge amid tensions over the Los Angeles immigration protests. Overnight, the Los Angeles mayor imposed a curfew downtown. As protests that began with deportation raids last week intensified, let's take a look. Since Friday, let's tell you what all has happened. In fact, since Friday, thousands have taken to the streets demonstrating against a series of deportation raids ordered by the federal government. Some protests have turned violent, prompting looting, vandalism, more than 500 arrests so far. In fact, even journalists covering the developments have been caught in the crossfire. On Tuesday, another journalist was hit by a less lethal round while filming the unrest.
I wanted to let the city know that I have declared a local emergency and issued a curfew for downtown Los Angeles to stop the vandalism, to stop the looting.
The LAPD said it made mass arrests after the mayor's curfew order. In fact, at least 25 people were arrested overnight for breaking the curfew, which covers a 1 square mile zone in downtown LA. Heavily armed security forces, some on horseback, patrolled near government buildings as shopkeepers boarded up the storefronts. Donald Trump continues to defend his decision. At Fort Bragg, North Carolina, he was quoted as saying he is using, quote, every asset at the disposal to restore order.
All I want in terms of engagement, I just want to see peace. If there's peace, we get out. If there's even a chance of no peace, we stay there until there's peace.
And Donald Trump also took to social media to claim that if he did not send in the troops, Los Angeles would be burning to the ground. And the US military has also announced the deployment of 700 active duty Marines to join 4,000 National Guard troops to protect federal property and personnel, including immigration agents. Photos released by the Marine Corps showing Marines training in crowd control at Naval Weapons Station Seal Beach. And according to reports, the military deployment will cost taxpayers $134 million. The California governor is furious. He has blamed Donald Trump for the unrest. And he has also called Trump's move the behavior of a tyrant, not a president.
California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next. Democracy is under assault before our eyes. This moment we have feared has arrived.
In the court filing, the governor has asked a federal judge to block the use of troops for policing. But on Tuesday, the judge declined to immediately block the federal intervention, and a hearing is now set for Thursday. Critics have warned that without invoking the Insurrection Act, troops are legally limited to protecting federal property and not enforcing law on the streets. And mass demonstrations have also erupted across the country. Protests against the Trump administration's immigration raids centered on Los Angeles took place in New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Washington, Seattle. Thousands attended a protest against the federal government's Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, at New York City's Foley Square.
Well, I'm here today because there's been a lot of injustices that have been going on in our country. You know, you got people that are being arrested on the street by agents that don't wear badges, wear masks. They're basically being kidnapped.
I think it's absolutely horrible. I remember seeing on the news that people, like parents, were being deported from their kindergarten kids' graduations.
I am an immigrant. I am a woman. I'm a woman of color under the definition of the law. I really believe every immigrant should be treated equally.
The thing is, critics, Democrats and even the LA mayor have condemned the use of military force in Los Angeles as both legal and political dominoes continue to fall. The Trump administration is on a deadline in a way to file its opposition by 2 p.m. ET on California's motion for a temporary restraining order. The mayors of Chicago and Los Angeles are also scheduled to hold briefings. And as far as ordinary people go, a number of protests have been planned across several parts, suggesting that the protest that started last Friday in Los Angeles will likely keep expanding to new parts. Our next story is about a mobile game app. Hong Kong authorities say the game pushes an anti-China secessionist agenda. What are the details? Created by a Taiwan-based developer, Reversed Front Bonfire is a single-player, turn-based strategy game set that basically challenges the players to overthrow a communist regime on an imaginary continent. Hong Kong police have asked residents not to download or share the gaming app and warned that doing so will invite punishment under stringent national security laws. Residents found with the gaming app on their devices could potentially be charged with possession of a publication that has a seditious intention. Needless to say, any in-app purchases by residents will be construed as financial support and will invite consequences, according to the order issued by Hong Kong police. Hong Kong and Macau are deemed special administrative regions in China. On paper, the classification imparts a certain degree of autonomy, but that's largely been eroded in Hong Kong after Beijing enacted a new set of national security laws in the year 2020. The laws were put in place after mass anti-China protests erupted in Hong Kong in 2019. 5 years later, it appears that the Communist Party of China is still nervous about any dissent taking root in Hong Kong and has widened its scope of censure. According to the statement by Hong Kong police, the game was released under the guise of a game with the aim of promoting secessionist agendas such as Taiwan independence and Hong Kong independence. Not much of a guise, it has to be said. According to the website for the game, players can pledge allegiance to Taiwan, Hong Kong, Mongolia, Tibet or Uyghurs, among other options, to overthrow the communist regime, quote unquote. To dispel any doubts about their intentions, the developers clarify that the app is a work of non-fiction and any similarity to the actual agencies, policies or ethnic groups of the People's Republic of China in the game is intentional. Thanks to the media attention on the order by Hong Kong's authorities, interest in the app has exploded online. The game's creators welcomed the ban, writing in a post that the game had been introduced to the entire Hong Kong